Okay, we got some exciting stuff today. Let's just get into it. There's been a bunch of changes. First one is this bit up top. Basically, they have brackets around them because I haven't put them into the title system, so we can be multilingual someday. But basically, basically what these do is like put your screen into different modes. So if we open up this, we can see these are the modules that exist currently inside the system. We go to chop mode, and the idea is that you can chop stuff up in here. So we can take like some MIDI files, select them, get the tracks, look around the tracks, find like a section that you're interested in, like let's just say like so. You hit chop, then boom, you have that chop section here that you can use. You can open up multiple tracks, and yeah, so that's for chop. For chord progression, it looks like this. So now this thing is scrollable all the way across. So we can just select a song progression, and then we can hit that, and then it'll just put the chords in here. If we select a longer one, it'll look something more like that. So that's pretty straightforward. And then you have all your chord progressions that you've actually sort of made along the side here. So you can actually give them real names, so like our real name, and then it'll update here, and you can jump back and forth between. The next bit is this modifiers part. So modifiers are basically a way of taking that chord and doing more interesting things with them. So you can create a modifier by just clicking on the plus, and you click on this thing, which sort of lights up these panels here, so you can actually put them on and off. But this will sort of put it back into a default mode. So that gets you this modifier editor, and that'll give you like this split, like the first half and second half. So like a three chord or 3-note chord would just sound twice. So if this was a full whole beat or a whole note, then each half is a half note. And then we can stack on top of that. We could stack like a MIDI file, which will basically take the lick that you've chopped, and then you can apply that to these 3 notes. So in that case, we could do something like this, and then it'll show you those 3 notes right here. You know what they look like. So if you zoom in, you can actually get the notes that will actually play. How this MIDI gets applied is basically it'll take the bottom note that's played inside the MIDI file and then match that with the bottom note of the chord. And if your chord has 3 notes in it, then it'll basically play the bottom note will go with the bottom one here. The second note will go with the second note, and the third one will go with the third note. And if there's a 4th note and you don't have 4 notes in your chord, it'll ignore it. So that's just something to keep in mind. There's probably going to be lots of different ways you can make this sort of mesh together. That's just the default way I put together because it was the easiest. So that's for that. And then we also can like do arpeggio, which is really kind of straightforward. In this section over here, you can see it. Basically, it steps down from G, E, and C. The default chord that goes in here is just a C major chord. So up and down are backwards, and I'll have to fix that. I'll do that before I actually push this out into production. But yeah, so that's what arpeggio does. And that brings us back to the chord progression, where we should be able to click this button, and this will add the modifier. And we can put that there. We can give our modifier a name. Just our testing modifier. So we go back to chord progression, and then testing modifier. So this modifier is going to be applied to this B flat 7 chord, which we can see here. If we wanted to apply it to this E flat, we could just drag this across. So we can drag it across as far as we want. And as long as it covers any of these chords, it'll be applied. Yeah, so we can just move it across. We hit another one. Now, even though these are the same ones, if they were overlapping, this chord will be modified by the modifier, which is covering the most of the chord. So it'll figure out these two modifiers are covering this E flat major, and then it will basically work out that this modifier covers more of this E flat than this modifier does. Probably could do some funky stuff where we actually like slice this part and like figure out, well, we apply this section to this part of the. I'm not doing that right now. It's a bit much. So yeah, so once you do that, you can just hit export, and then that will take us, that will put it in our download. So I have that thing right here. Let's just see what this thing sounds like, or looks like at least. So I'll open up Ableton Live, and I'm going to open up Serato Sound. Should have a few more days left on my trial. Yep, 70 days left. So then I can just take this guy, drop it in there. And then you can see this is what came out, I guess. Nope, that's old. Oops, I'm looking for 17. This is the one. Thought that file looked a little weird, a little short too. Okay, that's way better. Or better might be a strong word. It's different. So we can drop that in here. And we can play that. So that's what that sounds like in Ableton. In Serato, let's go back to the scenes. Let's add an instrument. Acoustic something, and then drag this in there. Let's make that big first. That. Now this is going to get cut off because Serato is fun like that. And then if I play that, so we can chop stuff up and sort of start our artistic process. So tons more stuff to do, like one, making sure like you can't accidentally like jiggle these things, or making it so it's you can align them more easily, because right now you have tons of like little control, but we should probably make it so you can't be like sort of off. We want everything to be able to like quantize to the right sort of with length and width and things like that. Also being able to copy the track so you can make duplicates, and then you can, you know, edit and modify. Oh yeah, another feature is this, is that on this B7 or B flat 7 chord, we actually have tons of options for chords that have the same stuff in it. So like this chord is the same. So if I actually has a little one more note, I can add that there, and I can hit swap. And now it's the B flat diminished 2/13 or something like that. I don't really know how you actually, what that actually ends up being, but yeah, so it's like an interesting way where you can just sort of pick new chords, things that have the original one in it, especially if you start doing with a lot of the modifiers, you get a lot of color inside your outputted MIDI file, so that should be interesting. And that's it. I should be pushing this out hopefully tomorrow after I fix a few things, but it's looking pretty good, and there's tons more to come. A little preview, like these song progressions. I have collected about 12,000 song progressions, mostly like 4 or 5 chords long, give or take. Um, and then I'll be picking up about 1 million MIDI files from my pa that he's been collecting for like the last 10 years. And then should be able to make those available and make some more functionality so you can, when you go in here, these MIDI files will just be like 1 million, and you'll be able to like just search for whatever genres, artists, whatever sort of information's inside. I want to make it so it's searchable. But then you should be able to chop stuff up and make something interesting. Cool. Good luck.